Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for attending. There's so much going on today, and I really do feel like it's a privilege to have so many of you in the room. My name is Ben Wood. I'm the Chief Analyst at CCS Insight, as you heard, and I'm very delighted to be here to talk about this exciting topic. We've heard so much during the last day and a half about the opportunity for 5G, the diversity of applications that it offers, and of course, CPE devices like this, which are bringing 5G into your home and into enterprises, are super, super exciting. I thought before I invite the panelists onto the stage, I just wanted to set the scene with just a few quick stats that my team have put together. The opportunity here is enormous. So these are just some figures that we've taken from research we've done with the Global Mobile Suppliers Association, looking at the sheer number of devices and manufacturers that are out there. The health warning on this slide is 2022 is a cumulative number to the end of April. So if you look at the trajectory, we had about 56 different manufacturers in 2019 and 2020, 21 up to 71. Already this year, we've seen another manufacturer added, and I expect to see that keep on growing. Look at the number of devices. We've got another strong story. So stepping up from 2019, 2020, over 260% growth in this category. And we've already made a good start in 2022. And you're going to hear some of the reasons why we're going to see even more innovation in this product category from my panelists. And I'd love to invite Prathika, Srija, and Tim from Qualcomm to come up onto the stage, and then we'll dive into the Q&A. So welcome all of you. Thank you so much for joining. So we have a lot of ground to cover. We've got the experts that we need to look at the technology. And I am going to start by asking, probably Prathika, ask you about how do we see network operators incorporating this technology into their plans? Because it's a pretty exciting time. Hopefully from my introduction, you can see it's a product category I'm jazzed about. What are you seeing?
So Ben, fixed wireless access as a technology has been around for some time now. But 5G really is a game changer for this segment. With the 5G NR standard, we've made significant enhancements to spectral efficiency. And we also have access to a lot more spectrum than we'd had before at both 5G sub-6 gigahertz as well as millimeter wave frequencies. And our modems with every generation have really these advanced carrier aggregation techniques. And we've been improving that to where we can really make the best of that spectrum, the available spectrum. And all these things put together really allow us to achieve those 10 gigabit per second speeds with our latest modem, which really is an incredible milestone. Now, what this does for network operators and internet service providers is the massive capacity and the ease of deployment is what makes it very attractive. So if you think about last mile access, laying fiber is both expensive as well as time consuming. And what 5G FWA does is it allows mobile network operators to really enable those users with a high-speed broadband connection very quickly and efficiently. So that's a big attraction. We see this especially in rural areas where users are spaced further apart and last mile access is a challenge. We also have suburban and urban areas where users may not have access to the best quality broadband connection. Maybe they're using older technologies like DSL, and this enables them to really have something that meets their needs today, which we know has really gone up since the pandemic, and the need for a quality broadband connection is really the highest it's ever been.
So overcoming the pain points of deploying infrastructure, which can be hugely costly, kind of like a quick solution, but giving really great connectivity, I guess.
Exactly.
What you're saying. Srija, let's move on to you. I know you are deeply involved in this and the technology that's going into these types of devices to make them really, really fly. So tell us a bit about your perspective on this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ben. And I think taking off from where Pritika spoke about fiber, over the last 20 years, our home networking experience across different parts of the world has evolved gradually. Be it cable, DSL, passive optical networks, we are accustomed to the modem, the truck roll, and the sorting of the tangle of the wires. And I personally am not a huge fan of those cables, cords, and I'm sure many in the audience are not either. And on top of that, our internet service providers have had to optimize the backhaul and the Wi-Fi front haul for best performance. But with 5G, our wireless worlds have now converged. We have the opportunity to connect our home to the internet wirelessly. And this is a revolution similar to the wireless revolution we had with mobile phones and laptops. 5G FWA particularly is an inflection point with Wi-Fi in home networking. And Qualcomm's expertise in 5G and Wi-Fi helps us enable optimized integrated solutions for this market. So think of this transition to a completely wireless internet, where your home internet is now connected via the same infrastructure that serves your mobile devices and is optimized end-to-end for best-in-class performance. Sounds amazing, doesn't it?
Well, I'm absolutely, and I think it plays very well to what Cristiano was talking about in his keynote yesterday, which I think is this bigger story from Qualcomm, taking that core intellectual property and making a great performing cell phone and delivering it into these different device categories. And I think that leads really nicely onto you, Tim, in terms of what you're doing, and maybe you could give your perspective on why people are getting excited about this new category.
Yeah, exactly. Fixed wireless access is super high-speed internet plus the convenience of wireless, as Pritika and Shrija have said. Who wants landline fiber when you can get wireless fiber? Really? Do you use a landline phone anymore? No, of course we all use wireless phones. The same thing will happen with fixed wireless access. So FWA is the future. And for a certain class of customers, we see that they need to move their fixed wireless access from place to place. So for those customers, we see the traditional mobile hotspot product line evolving to become a movable fixed wireless access point. And for example, our
what have you got here?
Our good friend.
I've got my CPE. You've got your little box there.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
So our good friends and partner at Netgear provided me with this brand new Netgear Nighthawk M6. This is what I would call a movable fixed wireless access point. It's unfair to call this a mobile hotspot. This can deliver 2 gigabits per second of throughput over the air on the Wi-Fi. This is just an amazing product, and you can use it as your primary source of fixed wireless access in your home or your home office, or you can take it with you when you go on the road.
So, Tim, does that have an Ethernet port in it as well? Is there? So you can plug that in, right?
You can plug it into Ethernet
okay.
also.
So it's that real kind of best of both. You've got something that you can take with you, and that's a partnership you've had for a long time. I remember a few years ago, Gigabit LTE was launched on that kind of with Netgear too.
Yeah, Netgear has been our great partner for many, many years, and I really appreciate them providing me with this early sample to show you all today.
Okay, so that gives us a little clue in terms of what the devices are doing. But of course, we've got some plastic boxes, but there's a lot of magic that's happening inside here from a platform perspective, and I think you can all give a kind of slightly different perspective on that. So Prathika, maybe we start with you in terms of, okay, we've got a revolution happening. We've got some devices, which means we can leverage all of the great work Qualcomm's done on cell phones, smartphones, and bring 5G to homes and businesses. How's your technology helping that?
So at Qualcomm, we have a single modem platform that can pair with a multitude of our Wi-Fi chipsets to enable our customers to create these different product categories for fixed wireless access. We have mobile hotspots and routers, and that's what Tim just discussed, that really brings that portability aspect. We have indoor CPEs for the home, where you have 5G and Wi-Fi on a unit that sits inside the home. We also have outdoor CPEs that sit on the roof of a home or business and can have those high gain antennas to really expand coverage.
Just explain that to me. So I can put this outside in the rain. Obviously, there's huge performance benefits from that as well. Is that
Yes,
right?
so we have CPEs that are designed specifically for outdoors,
Okay.
and mechanically robust and designed to be put on the exterior of a home.
And presumably then you get the absolute best performance from the network because you've got no barriers. You
Yeah.
can just go for it. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted
Line of
you.
sight.
Do carry on.
We also have vehicular use cases, so transportation hubs like trains and school buses, emergency response vehicles for both enterprise as well as other applications. So really a breadth of different FWA products that are powered by our chipsets to address the various needs of the user in the market today.
And Tim, from your perspective, I mean, obviously you've got the challenge of making it smaller if you're the champion for that kind of product category, but tell us a bit more about how the different platforms are helping with the global rollout.
So the range of offerings that we have in mobile hotspot, movable FWA, it starts with this class of product, which is our Wi-Fi 6E, and can deliver 2 gigabits per second to 64 users. It's kind of the bottom half of that chart over there. But we have the product line that extends all the way to LTE class with Wi-Fi 5 that runs at about 150 megabits per second. And I could use that product to illustrate one of a key example that talks about how movable fixed wireless access can be helpful. We have one customer that's putting these onto school buses. And after the kids are driven home from school at the end of the day, the kids that don't have any broadband access in the neighborhood, they take the school bus and they park it in the neighborhood and they turn on the fixed wireless access point in the bus. So everyone in that neighborhood can do their homework and get on the internet and they can keep up with their peers, even though they may be in a neighborhood that's too poor to have its own mobile broadband.
So what geography would this be in? Is that here or is that?
Not even in the United States. There's
really?
many.
Okay.
One of my best friends from home moved back to Mississippi when he retired. That's where he grew up. And he teaches classes at the university 2 days a week. And one of his most promising students wasn't turning in her homework because she didn't have broadband access in her home. So
that plays to the digital divide story we heard in the keynote yesterday as well, which is pretty strong. Shrija, do you want to add anything on this story?
Oh, yes, I'll complete the rest of the map there.
Oh,
so
brilliant.
if you look,
Okay.
if you look
It's
towards the
hard
top,
for us to see, but I think
that's
everyone
fine.
can see it.
If you look, Tom's Tim spoke about the lower end of the spectrum there. On the top of the spectrum, Qualcomm is a leader in the integrated and outdoor CPE market with offerings across the swath of the market, really. And we have premium and cost-effective solutions to cover that, where we have the top-of-the-line Qualcomm Networking Pro Series, and we have the value tier immersive home platforms. So if you zoom in further, the immersive home platforms have an integrated 2x2 Wi-Fi radio, and they also offer like a 2x2 or a 4x4 Wi-Fi attach that gives you 160 megahertz on Wi-Fi 6E to give you design flexibility and modularity. And then the immersive home platforms on that value tier also help you offer multiple advantages where customers can build a 4-chain solution or a 6-chain solution to extract the maximum benefit of Wi-Fi 6E for their gateways. And then if you move higher towards the top end, the Qualcomm Networking Pro Series offers the best-in-class performance with massive capacity and really about multi-user performance at scale. When I say that, customers can really build dual, tri, or quad radio solutions with each radio supporting up to 512 users, 512 connected clients with best performance. That's massive. And then finally, together, these two solutions where you have the Networking Pro Series and the immersive home platforms, they come together to help our customers build a complete portfolio of indoor CPE and outdoor CPE offerings.
So lots of different platforms, lots of flexibility. I mean, if we continue that thought, the features there presumably are targeted at different personas, so there'll be consumer, enterprise. Do you want to talk a bit about how that addresses some of the pain points that they maybe see?
Absolutely. So the key highlights of the solution, as I was talking about, were, if you look at it, it's modularity, flexibility, integration, and high-performance integration between, your Wi-Fi and 5G, with Qualcomm is best at, really. And beyond this, what we do is we enable our customers to build network stacks or support network stacks like RDKB, Purple, and other containerized options on these platforms with ease. These platforms offer top-of-the-line Wi-Fi specs, which means uncompromised performance across all product tiers. They also give you the flexibility to design, whichever configuration you want, whether it's a dual radio solution, a tri-radio solution, a quad radio solution, which means you can have a complete gateway portfolio play. And last but not the least, we're talking about massive multi-user performance at scale, and in both standalone and mesh modes, which are critical for the home network. So, all in all, it's like a complete solution that we offer with all these benefits on the Wi-Fi side.
So it strikes me, because one of the big criticisms I have of the fixed line providers is I pay for the service, but then they send me this really cheap, nasty router that doesn't really perform well. So you're kind of saying, invest in this kind of platform and you'll deliver a really fantastic Wi-Fi experience as well as the 5G
Correct.
connectivity. Tim, how about you? I mean, there's some pain points here. There's some opportunities to build in the technology to address that. How does that?
Yes, the pain points with a movable fixed wireless access point are affordability, portability, and high speed. So we achieve affordability by limiting the number of users. That reduces the amount of memory necessary, and that's how we can get a lower price point. And also, we use the same mobile Wi-Fi that's used in our flagship smartphone designs. So we sell those at large scale, millions of devices. So we have an economy of scale by using that mobile Wi-Fi chip. Now that mobile Wi-Fi is pretty potent. It doesn't have the the upscalability all the way to the top of that chart. But it does feature Wi-Fi 6E, 2x2 plus 2x2 antenna configuration, dual band simultaneous, and 4K QAM. So it can deliver a PHY rate of 3.6 gigabits per second and actual over-the-air throughput rates well above 2 gigabits per second. To get portability, we have to do a couple of things. First of all, we have to run on the battery, right? It has to be battery powered. And then secondly, it has to fit a lot of stuff into a very tight space. It's a very small container. So everything is really crammed together. So to run on battery power, we have so many features, innovations to run on battery all day. We use a hardware offloaded IPA accelerator that transfers the data between the cellular modem and the Wi-Fi without running a CPU and burning power in the CPU. We have Green TX, which adjusts the Wi-Fi power automatically as you move closer and further away from the access point. We have Wake on Wireless, so it can sleep most of the time if it's not being asked to do anything. And for fitting this all into a tight package, we mux everything down to just 2 antennas. And we have all kinds of thermal management. And you also need coexistence management. You have to manage the coexistence between the 5G radio, the 4G radio, the Wi-Fi radio, the Bluetooth radio, so they don't interfere with each other. They're all carefully coordinated by the software. And even specific absorption rate regulations need to be met because you can pick this up and carry it around. So you have to adhere to the limits on how much you can transmit before you have to scale back the power so that you don't transmit too much power into a human's hand.
I'm amazed you can fit it all in. And just remind us, I think you've said it already, but so how many connected devices can you attach to that sort of category of product?
Up to 64.
Okay, so you still got a very, you could share that with your friends, and you can all have multiple devices.
Yeah, exactly.
So Prathika, let's round it out and think about the other kind of component technology aspects that probably enhance the other parts of the portfolio.
So Ben, with every generation of our modems, we've introduced new features that are specifically targeted towards fixed wireless access and really enhancing that performance from the previous generation. So we have these features on sub-6 as well as mmWave. On the sub-6 side of things, we have a feature called 8RX. And essentially what that is having 8 receive antennas on the unit, and we're now combining those chains to enhance the spectral efficiency of the downlink. And on the transmit side, we have a feature called PC 1.5, and essentially we're transmitting at a higher power level now, 29 dBm, which is something that we have just commercialized for fixed wireless access specifically. And both these features help to improve network capacity, user experience, and provide coverage gains. So a lot of benefits from these features for the sub-6 technology. On the mmWave side, we have these high-power QTM antennas, and this is something that we introduced with our SDX55 generation of modems. And essentially what that is a higher transmit power level for fixed wireless access applications, just to get that extended range for the CPEs. On mmWave, we also have this feature that helps with self-installation. So if you think about it, self-installation is really a very popular feature with our network providers because they get to offload that install process now to the consumer. And that really helps save them a lot of cost and time. So for that, we have this feature called dynamic antenna steering. And essentially what it is on the CPE, we have a rotor and an algorithm that allows us to rotate the mmWave antennas in the direction of the best signal strength. So that helps in the self-installation process at home for the user. And last but not the least, there's mmWave SA, and so standalone mmWave, and this is something that Cristiano spoke about at the keynote yesterday. And essentially what that's going to enable is for these greenfield carriers that don't have a 4G core to come in and get going with 5G mmWave from the get-go and really make use of that massive spectrum that we have available for the capacity enhancement.
So just to make sure I understand what you've just said, you're telling me you've got in the box, there's like a thing that moves. So I put it on my windowsill and it kind of sniffs the air and says, where's the best signal, and physically kind of whizzes around and gets the best signal. Is that right?
That's right. That's right.
Wow. Sounds like a good gadget. Sounds expensive, though.
Well, mechanically, of course, now there's some more design aspects to the CPE.
Right.
But really, it offsets having that truck roll, like Shrija mentioned, and sending a technician out for the provider. And if you look at it, it's still we come out on top in terms of the cost, and it's worth having that feature for self-installation. So a lot of features that we've been developing, and we're very focused on this segment.
That's good. And what about, so when you've got that kind of power in the box, what does the future look like? What are the applications that you think we're going to see people, deploying?
So we touched on these different platforms, right? The portability aspect with the hotspots and really the CPEs and the vehicular use cases. So we're seeing a lot of those applications and just really launching. We're seeing devices being created and launching every quarter that have a multitude of use cases.
So Tim, you've given us your school bus thing, which I think we all like the idea of that, and anything that closes the digital divide is awesome. Can you tell us a bit more about, gaze into your crystal ball, how, near term, what applications are you seeing? Where do you see it going in the future?
Yeah, I can suggest a few more. So there's the road warrior professional worker, of course. That's the kind of the classic one. But now there's the remote long-term Airbnb worker, where you rent an Airbnb for a month or two in another place that you just want to work remotely from that place instead. And you invite your family, and they all work during the day, and then they meet with one another at night. In that case, the movable fixed wireless access point is a great thing to bring because you can bring your TV streaming stick, your smart speaker, and they're already provisioned and ready to go. And you're going to have great connection service. You don't have to hope that the Airbnb will do that. Another one that I see is the young professional starting up. They can get a either a fixed wireless access point or a movable wireless access point, if they haven't settled down yet, if they're like moving from apartment to apartment every year, or they just like to spend a lot of time in other places like young people do, they can bring their fixed wireless access with them when they're
so they don't need to lock themselves into a contract, or they can take, and that, I guess that's the Airbnb example as well, that you're not paying twice, right? You can just take the internet access you've got at home with you.
Exactly. And then finally, what I can suggest is the enterprise-owned access to your home office, where the enterprise gives you a movable fixed wireless access point, and then they control that 5G connection. Is very secure, it's provisioned on their network, and it gives you a private cloud of 6 gigahertz Wi-Fi 6E in your home office that's essentially on your corporate LAN.
That's good. So quick fire answer on this one. Just get your perspective. What's the application you're excited about? And then we'll go to the final question because we're up against it on time.
Sure. So, Pritika mentioned that, on the backhauls, we're getting this 10 gigabit speeds, right? So we need platform end-to-end optimizations to maximize the throughput inside the home network as well. So with the Networking Pro Series Gen 1, we could achieve about 6 gigabits per second peak throughputs. But now with the newly announced Qualcomm Networking Pro Series Gen 3, we are looking at getting as close to the 10 gigabit speed as possible for the home network. Beyond this, we are also looking to enable network stacks like RDKB on our platforms, because this would previously take our customers about 6 to 8 months to launch and integrate. So we are trying to solve that problem for them and optimize the time to market and reduce their integration times. And last but not the least, Tim mentioned about this concept of enterprisation of the home, where the lines between the enterprise and the home are now blurred. So customers are demanding enterprise-like reliability, security, and connectivity on the network. And Qualcomm's 5G FWA plus Wi-Fi solutions just perfectly meet that need.
Tim, I think your hotspot is dazzling the audience. It's so shiny, so you might want to just hold it down a bit. I saw someone squinting over there, so careful with that. We need to wrap up quite quickly here, but here's the killer question, right? I'm a consumer. We've heard some of the reasons why I want this product. I'm a user, by the way. I'm at home. I'm already on 5G. I had to give up on my crappy fixed line connection, and it's been a game changer for me. But we'll go through each of you. So Tim, tell me why. Give everyone in the audience the reason why they need to rush out and buy one of these.
Why would you not want to buy one? Just look at it. It's beautiful. But I can suggest that more and more public Wi-Fi has not kept up with the applications that I've come to need to use in a post-pandemic world. Teams, Zoom, SharePoint access, database access. These are must-have connection applications that I have to use. I can't get by without using them. It's not like Outlook where it would store and forward and it wouldn't matter. Now, if you have a bad connection, you just cannot do your work. So that's why I think...
and that's actually interesting. There's an analyst colleague of mine, I don't know whether he's in the room, a guy called Ian Fogg. He works at Open Signal. He put out a report this morning, and he was saying how poor public Wi-Fi is versus 5G, and they did some stats on that. They're clapping. We've got to crack on. Prathika, anything you want to add on why consumers want this?
So I think, Ben, we've summarized it so far, but really it's that high-speed broadband connectivity, quick deployment timelines, and then really providing that choice to consumers, right? Today, with a wired connection, a consumer may have a choice of one network provider, but we now open that choice up to several providers. And so, we're just getting started with 5G FWA, and we're really excited about how this segment is going to ramp. Overall, we have a lot of success. We've had a lot of success in the US. We've seen T-Mobile cross that 1 million subscriber mark recently. And we've seen the same increase in user adoption at Verizon and AT&T, and most recently, US Cellular coming up with that mmWave outdoor CPE. So we've seen that success in the US, which speaks to the benefits that it provides. And we're looking forward to really bridging that digital divide globally, where we still have about 50% of people that are not connected to a fixed broadband connection.
So, Shrija, you get the last word. So you've got to tell these people why they leave with a spring in their step and why they should be excited about CPE and fixed wireless access.
I have a task on my hand then, okay? There is a massive shift, in the network usage in the post-pandemic world, as we say. A large proportion of the workforce, as we know, is now going to be remote or hybrid. And high-speed broadband is now a necessity next to gas, electricity, and water.
Right.
5G FWA plus Wi-Fi offers an excellent alternative to fiber at lower deployment costs. We've spoken about that. And Qualcomm's 5G FWA plus Wi-Fi solutions offer strong security, reliable connections, and really massive performance across all product tiers, as you saw. So buy one if you need that outstanding connection on your next business-critical Zoom call, or if you want to be connectivity ready to battle out your friends in the metaverse. And I leave you with that thought to just rush out of the room and get one today. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you so much. Well, I want to say thank you all for coming. Thank you to the panel.
Thank you very much.
Really great.
Thank you.
And